All right. I think we gave enough time. We can kick off our webinars for today. I would like to thank who have allocated time to join us today, and hopefully this event will add value to all of us. Uh, as most of you are aware, those who have attended our sessions in the past, you know that the essence of our events are to collaborate. So it's not one-way communication. It is everyone have a chance to talk and collaborate and ask questions. Today, we are privileged to have Mumtalakat with us and some of nominated portfolio company to talk about how they responded to COVID-19 period and how they leverage and use cloud technologies to respond. Hopefully, it will be an interactive. I'm lucky to have as well Mohammed with me here, and our brother Khalid. He joined us as well on the same meeting room. And we have our panelist, which we will introduce shortly as we move on with the presentation. Since we have already spent some time on the introduction, so I will skip the intro about TPS. Most of you are already aware what TPS meant to be and what we do. In general, is that we collaborate among all IT specialists, leaders on the field in Bahrain and beyond. We would like to see Bahrain advance in technology, and we believe that the only way forward is to collaborate to innovate. So this is our slogan, and this is our mission. We have various ways to achieve that. We have identified at the establishment time, which is in 2012, key way forward to achieve that goals. This is evolving. So what we've had on the past is still relevant. However, we still need to work it out and enhance it. One of the key things we shifted on our mandate from the establishment is that we now no longer just mean the medium and large companies to be part of us. We are open for all kind of company sizes because we mean that small companies today use enterprise solutions. They are no longer lifted for big companies. So we would like to as well cover them as part of our mandate to help them achieve their business goals. In the last 12 months, we have done a great effort on organizing 8 events. This is the 9th. We still have more to come. And the next one will be a very special one. Mr. Khalid is helping me on organizing a very attractive meeting to talk about the health industry and how technology has been leveraged and used on King Hamad Hospital. Inshallah, we'll announce the date and how they manage the technology from their end. Just quickly, I mean, we will not spend time on the bios. You can definitely read the information. Hamad is the Manager of Information Technology in Mumtalakat. He has more than 15 years experience in working in technology. He's special. That's the only way I can describe Mohammed. He's so aggressive and advancing technology wherever he works. So we are lucky to have him here, and we are lucky to have him with us on the society as well. Mr. Sorba is a very unique title, the Chief Technology and Information Officer. That's really an amazing scope of work and challenging as well. We would like to welcome him on the panelists today. We are so excited to hear Batelco story, what they have achieved and what are the challenges, and some insights about how they operated during this time. I have to declare to everyone that I have unconditional love to Batelco. I'm very biased toward Batelco, and I will not allow anyone to say anything wrong about Batelco in my event. So I'll move forward with Mrs. Sameera as well as the Director of Information Technology in American University of Bahrain. We believe that they manage this period of pandemic very well. They have a lot of success stories to tell. They as well use the cloud technologies and managing the situation very well. Welcome everyone on the meeting today and wish you all the best. I will be the moderator for this event. Most of the time, Mohammed will be helping and asking the right question. We prepared a few questions, but we will not limit it to those questions. We might come up with a few other questions. So wish you all the best. I will leave it now for Mohammed. If you will allow me just a second to switch to his presentation. We are very excited to hear Mohammed's presentation where he will be talking about information about Mumtalakat. So Mohammed, the floor is yours, and I will keep scrolling if you wish to.
Thank you very much. I won't spend too much time talking about Mumtalakat. I'll just give you guys a brief update. The whole presentation is probably going to take around 5 minutes. So basically, to give everybody an introduction from Mumtalakat, we were established in 2006. Initially, the government asset 29 companies were transferred into Mumtalakat. Since 2006, we've grown to 60 companies, local and international. Mostly.
Can you bring the mic, please, closer to you? I think some people are having difficulty.
I hope that's better.
Those who have comments about the voice, can you please confirm if the voice are fine now?
Yes. Your voice. Excellent.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. So I'll go back again. So Mumtalakat was established in 2006, spearheaded by the Crown Prince. Initially, there are 29 assets transferred under Mumtalakat, but since then we've grown to 60 companies across 12 sectors, most of which are in the Middle East, actually most of which is Bahrain specifically. Currently, the asset value for Mumtalakat is around $19 billion, and we, through our portfolio companies, we represent 14,000 jobs in Bahrain.
So this is 19 billion
dollars across all of the.
This is our ownership, by the way. So all Bahraini here own this part. So be happy. This is growing, and Mumtalakat is doing their bit and even making it much better and healthier.
Inshallah. And yeah, this is there's yeah. So
should I move on? Yeah.
Okay, so to give you guys an idea, 2016 we started adopting the government's cloud-first policy with something we truly believed in and something that we wanted to be very much a part of. We felt that we didn't want to be restricted by our infrastructure and what we had. We want people to be more flexible to deliver what the business needs. So in 2016 we adopted this policy, and then we started migrating our workloads. We started moving our workloads to the cloud. We were successful in migrating 90% of our infrastructure within 3 or 4 months of that. So early 2017, we were fully migrated to AWS Cloud, infrastructure as a service. Since then, we've been working on converting our services from infrastructure-based services to SaaS model to give us even more flexibility and give us more flexible reporting capabilities to our management. So this is something that we've been working on. The next year, inshallah, we will be 90% SaaS in our company. So we'll be vast majority of these SaaS applications. And so we have done a very, very fundamental change in the way we conduct our business internally in terms of.
Mohammed, if you allow me to interrupt you, I know that this is not the Q&A yet, but some people think that SaaS are definitely a good way forward, and some people feel that it is going to limit you in terms of what you would like to do specifically for the organization. How you found that journey overall?
So for everything, there's pros and cons. For us and the business cases that we've presented, it gives us actually a little bit more flexibility because it forces us to adopt certain best practices and standards in terms of how to do API connectivity and how to take the data out. So actually, there was a lot of homework and a lot of grunt work that was done up front, but the structure that we've set up should give us a lot more flexibility going forward. So
Okay.
yeah.
Shouldn't
So
move on.
since then, in addition to moving to the cloud, one of the other things we were looking at, we reviewed our BCP, business continuity policy, quite significantly. And a year ago, one of the things that came up was, what if we were away from office for an extended period of time? So this is one of the scenarios that we looked at as our team. And one of the things we built into our infrastructure and thinking, if we were not able to access the office, or we just had internet access for a period of time, how will that work? And we were able to implement Teams and other collaboration tools, and trained the staff. Actually, we were lucky just before COVID happened, so we were not scrambling when the pandemic hit and we were not allowed to access the office. This is something we already deployed and we trained the staff on. So when the pandemic hit, obviously people started working from home, people were further apart. Us as IT had to support the staff remotely, right? But we were kind of lucky that those are things that we've kind of addressed just before the pandemic. So we were prepared for that.
I think we do have a lot of questions on that period, on the readiness part.
Yeah.
You have more points on your presentation. How much should we move
Yeah,
on?
please, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a generic slide. It's just the benefits of working from home is the work-life balance, less commutes. Actually, interestingly, we've seen that there's an increase of productivity while working from home, which is, I think, not necessarily expected before the COVID situation. I think this is something that is an outcome of this. And I think that will create fundamental change on how we work going forward. And I believe that there will be some changes in terms of how we will work. We do collaborate online a lot. We turn on the video whenever we're on Teams, and so there's a lot of online collaboration. Examples of the SaaS applications that we use, they're just examples. We actually have a list of applications, but like we use Chime, we use Teams, we use SharePoint Online for document management. We have online digital signatures, and we have a list of solutions which are completely SaaS already.
You don't use Zoom, huh?
No.
Okay.
Actually, mostly for the online collaboration, we use Teams, and for Chime, it's for conference calls.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay, and this is just give you an indication of the increase of utilization. So virtual collaborations tripled since the COVID. I think it's probably a little bit more than tripled. Video conferencing and telecommunications doubled, and email has doubled in volume since the start of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Have you digged inside the emails? Is there as well usually bad emails, spams, and
for online security, that's a whole different discussion.
We will get to it then. We'll get to it.
It's a separate discussion.
This is a very important. I think the bad guys are always ready to utilize any period.
Yeah.
And even the pandemic was a great time for them.
So facilitating, this is just a brief how we facilitate the remote connectivity. So we have just Active Directory is online, so we are able to have authenticate users using the Azure online Active Directory.
Mm-hmm.
And then for connection of our applications, the vast majority of our applications use application proxies to access our applications within our cloud environment. There's only one application requires VPN, so it exists for one legacy application, but all other applications we use just the application proxy, which has multi-factor authentication, and we do monitor as well where the users are logging in from. So if there's unusual activity, we kind of are able to be notified and take care of that kind of in real time.
Yeah.
Okay. Further, since this COVID situation, we've had several employee satisfaction surveys. Actually, we work closely with HR on those because the surveys span the remote working environment, which covers HR as well as IT, as in the services that we offer. And we found that people are generally happy and they have the tools that they need to work from home. There are very few cases where people said that they need some additional services, but like I would say more than 90% are very satisfied in terms of the services that are offered and that they are able to work.
Can I ask a question here? Do you have details of the employee in terms of age group, female, male, in terms of their satisfaction?
So the number of employees that we cover on the survey is around 80, right? We have the breakdown, but in reality, actually, out of the 80, we only have 2 people that's responded negatively, right?
Okay.
So
that's around 5%.
right? So
Big number.
A big number, though. Don't say only 2.
right? And the remaining staff seem to be satisfied with the services that are rendered, and even those 2 actually, were the issues they raised were, that they needed a webcam, something basic. It's not.
Or it could be Batelco service at certain point in time overloaded.
It's never Batelco service.
That was a test for you to find
it's
out.
Never a Batelco service.
Good, you passed the test.
Okay. One more thing is that to go back on security awareness, this is something we do on periodic basis. So we do spear phishing and phishing tests to the staff to educate them, and then we share educational material and ask people to take quizzes and basically.
So was that modified during the pandemic?
So the templates that we use are we create them, and they are pretty much based on the situation that we are in. Okay. So there in the COVID period, actually we did simulate that the Ministry of Health is contacting the staff for, and could you please share your CPR
That's very
information?
Good test. Yes.
So we did modify the test based on the scenarios that we're in, and we had good results in terms of finding out the people that needed further training and conducting those training explicitly with those people.
Sounds perfect. Thank you so much, Mohammed. I think this is just a recap of the speaker, and thank you, Mohammed, for organizing the meeting for today. Again, I just want to make sure that we have the video clear. Just give me a second to. So can you confirm that you see all speaker again? Perfect. We do have a structure for our event today, but before we move on and ask questions, I would like to ask our speaker to spend a few minutes to talk about themselves, better than my introduction. Just 2-3 minutes about your role and what you would like to give or say today, and then we'll go through the questions. So can I start with you, dear Saurabh? If you can unmute yourself.
Sure, thank you. But you actually did a very nice introduction for me, so I will probably not have too much to add on top of that. But for the audience, so as was mentioned earlier, I'm the Chief Technology and Information Officer for Batelco. I think my name might be a bit of interest. It's maybe not so easy to pronounce, so it's pronounced Saurabh. The BH at the end of it, I just added, of course, when I was moving to Bahrain at the beginning of this year as part of my own contextualization and localization journey. No, I'm joking. Yeah, so I've been with Batelco since the beginning of the year. That's when I took this role. I'm currently responsible for driving technology transformation. I'm responsible for everything to do with technology within Batelco, whether it's on the network side, IT side, cybersecurity. And Batelco, of course, as you know, it's one of the largest corporations here in Bahrain. We are the largest telecommunication player. We are part of the critical infrastructure, and of course, technology is a core capability for us, and ensuring that our networks are up and running, our customer experience capabilities, our digital capabilities are up and running. and we are providing the right services to our customers, both consumers and enterprise, is largely dependent on our technology infrastructure. So it's a very critical role, and I take passion in. I'm someone who is very passionate for technology, but I'm also someone who is very passionate for what technology can do for people, how technology can be used for improving the lives of our customers, how it can be used for improving the lives of our employees. And I think that's something that probably we will be talking about today, because that is exactly what we had to do, and we went through as the whole COVID crisis unfolded this year.
Thank you for the intro. Can we kindly ask Sameera now to give us your introduction?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for hosting me. It's a great pleasure to meet you virtually, everyone. So, I mean, yes, based on the introduction, my name is Sameera Alatawi. I work at AUBH as IT director. Similar to Saurabh, I'm sharing his passion, but in education technology. So I've been working also in Bahrain Polytechnic for a couple of years, almost 6 years as an IT director. That was the time when I decided to join AUBH as an entrepreneur. So having this soul of renovation and probably starting things from the beginning, it's a great opportunity to participate in developing something that will stay, inshallah, for a very long time, helping my society and the youth towards having the right technology for them and learning, teaching and learning. So my focus has been for the past of years into enhancing the teaching and learning environment, and then and finding out the solutions for the suitable IT infrastructure to enable the education sector probably to grow, and also to provide a very unique sector in education and adopting the technology in that perspective. Yeah, that's all.
We have to host you, Sameera and Saurabh. Thank you so much. I think we'll start the part where we'll be asking questions and hearing the experience from all of you. I would like to start with Sameera. Just a quick question: when the university got established?
Well, we've been established for a couple of years now, but actual start was last year. Basically, we've had our first enrollment, and just a few weeks ago, we have the second enrollment. But we are a new university. But I think we've been successful already in leading the market and finding a very distinguished position among already well-established universities.
Excellent, excellent. Wish you all the best. I think that we would like to start with security, since security is a part of all of us on how we operate. It always stays as a challenging topic. The first question to you, Sameera, is how you dealt with data protection. I think you started coming to Bahrain and operating as a university. A new laws has been introduced, which got enforced since last year. A lot of practices has to be changed, aligned to those regulations. So GDPR, which is our version of it, is what is the name of the Bahraini law? PDBR. Yeah. So how you responded to that from educational perspective? You have a lot of information, students and their IDs, their parents, their interests. So how you dealt with that?
Well, actually, I'll tell you one interesting story. Like when we started the shift during COVID-19, I think we had forcibly to go to online immediately. Luckily, we've been ready because of the cloud-first policy and adopting already cloud-based SaaS applications and solutions. So once we are going to the online, I think the one challenge was the personal culture or the society culture in enabling the cameras for our students, and they're having kind of a sense of a privacy, and making the right policy and procedures and communicating the right policy and procedures and assuring parents and students that this information will be saved in a safe environment and probably will be used for their own kids' benefits towards learning. I think this is one of the things is to create the awareness and assurance of keeping data in a safe infrastructure, as well as spreading the awareness. The second part of it was I mean, education comes with two sides. I mean, students are playing a major role, but again, faculty and how to access the data is another thing. So, I mean, our infrastructure is secured. We're using AWS Cloud for keeping our infrastructure, and Microsoft for keeping our files. And having set the right rules, access rules, and multi-authentication, provided that most access is coming from online. So we have enabled multi-authentication factors and strengthening the awareness and policies toward phishing emails. These are the most concerns among the digital world, as well as the e-signature, like the use of paper in COVID-19 is not recommended in all cases. So what we have to implement is replace the physical signature on some of the documents, necessary documents, whether they are commercial or personal, and replace them with the digital signature. So this is how we dealt overall.
Perfect. So cloud technologies help you to accelerate and definitely move faster to adapt those technologies to address those concerns or constraints. I have a question to Mohammed, and it is a general question. I'm not interested to hear a general answer. I want to be more specific. How you feel about moving almost all of your data to the cloud, all of your application, convert them to SaaS? How do you feel about it?
So to be honest with you, initially, like when we looked at the cloud technologies and before we started off this journey, we were a bit concerned because we didn't understand necessarily security and the relationship with security and cloud.
Who was concerned? I mean, from technology side or leaders of the organization?
The leaders of the organization trusted us. For us, within our team, there were some people that had some concerns initially. But frankly speaking, once we looked into it and once we started migrating workloads, actually we found that the cloud provided some different tools in terms of enabling security. And actually, we do almost annual penetration testing and a security review. And we found that actually, since moving to the cloud and the tools that are available to us now, we're actually in a much better position than we were 3 years ago before we started the journey. So actually, we're very comfortable now in terms of what we have, how things encrypted.
Does that mean you have shifted some of those liabilities to the providers?
So there are some things that are shifted to the providers. However, there is also a component where we say, how we encrypt the keys, where they're stored, and that security element that we didn't have before because we didn't see it necessary at some point. The second part is this multi-factor authentication. This was there on some applications, but it's now across the board, the standard practice for us. And finally, so those are the basic.
I think you are sitting in a very different position from sector perspective. So usually there will be a certain threat landscape to specific sectors, and you are actually sitting on top of all sectors. Mumtalakat is also attached to all of the economical sectors. So your threat landscape might be varies from industrial or education. And so does that worries you more, or you use the proper consultant in place to help you?
So I guess there are two components to this: the internal security for our internal applications, right? So if there's an attack, how we deal with that, There's a second component, which is our online presence and like, you know, our LinkedIn profiles, our websites, and impersonation kind of attacks on email. So for the internal part, we did many security reviews to ensure that our applications are using the best practices, and we kind of monitor kind of the number of users and where they're logging in from. So we kind of have a good idea. If there's any spike, we can react to it in a good way. But for the online portion, we have a third party. We have CTM 360. They're supporting us into looking at our online profiles, and if anybody's impersonating our CEO or any of our VPs, and we do takedown requests. Actually, we have a lot of attacks in that sense, in terms of impersonating our website and our identity, and our CTM 360 has been very helpful to dealing with that.
Yeah, I would like to as well recognize CTM 360 efforts in Bahrain and what they did in enhancing the maturity of the use of information security. Not just them, a lot of companies here as well are helping us to advance our abilities. Before I move to the second point, I would like to, this is now not listed on my question, I would like to ask Saurabh about their response from security, from client perspective, and then you are serving a big population. Are you in a position to assess or help any of those clients with their security concern?
Yes, so currently our infrastructure is supporting a large part of our population. And then when we are looking at security, we are of course looking at it from two aspects. We are looking at it, one from the enterprise aspect, which is very similar to what Mohammed was explaining. But then we are also looking at security in terms of the usage of our services, which is of course with our customers, both the enterprises here in Bahrain and also the regular consumers who are consuming the services. So whenever, of course, you're using a device, and whenever you're using your connectivity, and whenever you're using, you know, mobile services or your broadband services, you of course. So we are effectively having again a perimeter in terms of our own threat landscape, which is quite wide, because effectively wherever our connectivity services are being used, in whichever form, we have a potential threat, and that's a potential threat surface on which we run regular and proactive monitoring as to what is passing through and what is coming into our network, and so we have regular ongoing intrusion prevention, threat detection and monitoring happening, both from a corporate perspective, but also on a wider network. And if we
So
see any...
Sorry to interrupt, this is like a transparent to the client. They don't know what you are doing, what you are acting on their behalf of protecting their data.
Exactly. So if we see, for example, some malicious activity going on in the network somewhere, we see any virus activity happening somewhere, malware, spamware, then a lot of times you won't even realize, but we effectively would completely detach that traffic, and we would take proactive action to already address it. And this is something which keeps on happening 24/7 all the time. So this is effectively part of our way of ensuring security across the perimeter. Of course, there are multiple layers to this. There are different levels of monitoring and prevention capabilities which we apply, depending upon which part of the network you talk about, which part of services you talk about. Again, whether they're external facing, internal facing. So there is a full landscape, but just by the nature of the industry and the nature of the services we provide, this is kind of part of our ongoing.
Question for you before I move on is, why don't you start offering a SaaS security solution to your clients? There are solutions that we cannot afford buying it individually, but definitely Batelco could be on the middle, arranging that between a provider, global providers, and offering us some secure services. Maybe let's get this answer at the end of the session, so to make sure that we cover most of the other areas. Thank you, Saurabh, for your session on the first pillar. I would like to move to business continuity. Mohammed, what do you want to say about the period where people were had to work on, definitely from home? At that time, we don't know how long this will last. Um, there could be missing, even simple accessories could limit people from contributing on the collaboration tools. So can you explain from Mumtalakat perspective, how was that period?
So I think we touched on it a little bit at the beginning. So since moving to the cloud, we really looked at our BCP policies and our processes in terms of how we could support the business in terms of extended absence from the office. And those are procedures that we tested ahead of time, actually, because it was part of our policy. And because we were using cloud technologies and we were completely on AWS cloud, actually, or Microsoft Cloud, combination of the two, we're able to scale up our services depending on the need. And this is something that's helped us because now, I mean, we don't really have to worry about our connectivity locally, or if there is enough storage or whatever here. It's something we could just upgrade on demand. So that's something that helped us out.
Good. I think we don't know how long this will stay, and definitely cloud is adding great capability to us here, where we can scale up and down whenever is needed. So thank you for that. Saurabh, again, back to you. How are your staff working during this period? I guess you have a good number of people, above 1,000, if I'm not mistaken. So it is a bit challenging to accommodate. But you are the main telco here, so you can offer everyone a good fiber connection at home, free of charge. So can you tell us more about how you dealt with it?
Right. So this was indeed a big challenge, and I think it is a very good question. So we have more than 1,000 employees, about 1,200, and when the entire pandemic scenario was unfolding, at that time, of course, we were largely on premise. We were in offices, and some staff was in the call centers and in the retail shops and so on. At that time, we were already following a very similar strategy of cloud first. So any new capability that we are putting in place for some time now, it is already going in the cloud. We were also in the middle of rolling out capabilities like Office 365. So adoption of Teams, adoption of Office on the cloud, of course, Exchange services and so on. This was exactly what was happening when the pandemic hit. Initially, we started using capabilities like Teams. So even when we were in the office in the early days of the pandemic, because we were still, of course, when the first cases happened, we were coming to office and we were there for a few more days before we started shifting our employees remotely. But during that time, we already switched to a mechanism where even though people were in office, they were not meeting physically, and we were maintaining social distancing, and people would join Teams meetings, and people would start to get onto video conference and teleconferences and so on. And then, of course, as things continued, we took a decision at some point to start moving people remotely. Now, the regular office workers, of course, when we moved them remotely, we faced two challenges. One was specifically a challenge of the technology capability, and the second was the challenge of culture, to be very precise, because this was the first time we, at such a large scale, were practicing remote working. So, of course, I mean, there would be always cases that somebody was working remotely and somebody was traveling, and that would happen. But not that you had 1,000+ people suddenly moving to work remotely while ensuring all business continuity. So all the services that we provide.
Actually, not the business continue. It is extended work from distance.
So, and that is where the fact that we were already in the middle of rolling out our office working capabilities on the cloud really helped. So immediately, almost every employee that we shifted remotely, were able to transition to these capabilities. So we would switch over from physical meetings to online meetings. We were able to move from processes happening physically in the offices to happening online, because at the end of the day, everything that we do these days is still enabled by digital technologies, where it doesn't matter where you are physically based. So the most critical aspect was to be able to ensure that the access for people for the various applications and digital capabilities they needed was securely available from wherever they were. So we had to very quickly scale up our support models, our capacities, and of course secure capabilities like VPN provisioning, so that our employees could connect to the corporate networks while staying completely secure in the process.
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you have any statistics of how you operated in terms of serving a customer, call center, employee working remotely? Are you in a position to share?
So I can share some trend indicators. At this time, what also happened was that we had to shift a lot of our call center to work remotely as well. And there was also a period when the shops in Bahrain were closed as well. And what we saw at that time, that the traffic that we were experiencing on the digital channels, so for example, our mobile app or our e-shop, went up something like 300 to 400% within a matter of days. So we had a significant shift in the traffic. The traffic, of course, in the retail shops went down. There was a period, of course, when it went down completely because we had to shut the shops. There were a few weeks. But then the shops, of course, opened, but still the traffic took time to build. People were still cautious and they didn't want to step out too much. However, the usage of our mobile app, our e-shop, our WhatsApp channel, and even the traffic into the contact center went multifold. So even now at this point of time, we are running an average traffic which is about 400% higher than what we were running at the point when we started, the whole pandemic scenario started to unfold. So one was, of course, us the ability to handle the traffic, and we had to, of course, ensure that the infrastructure and the capacity which was being provisioned were appropriate. And the fact that many of our digital capabilities and assets were already leveraging cloud technologies meant that we were able to provision the additional resources and infrastructure required pretty much seamlessly and very effectively. Because if you're running on-prem services, then it, of course, is a different ballgame as to how you expand your capacity. So that then additionally, so this is of course what we faced as for our employees and what we were seeing in terms of customers wanting to interact with us. At the same time, the entire country, the entire Bahrain was seeing two trends. One, everybody was working from home. So this was of course not us, but everybody else. And second, as we know, all the education was shifting online. And I think Sameera was already referring to that earlier, which means that kids were having all their classes online, either through audio or video lessons. So, and of course, people could not go out because there were shops were not open, restaurants were not open, and of course, there was a general caution in the public. So people were consuming more content at their home because that is the only thing they could do. So of course, the traffic on WhatsApp, on Netflix and YouTube and all those services went up. So we saw effectively within our network as well, both on the mobile side and the fixed side, a significant increase in traffic, a change of profile. While there was a lot of traffic earlier, for example, on the roads were now empty.
I think this is a very key. Sorry to interrupt you. I would like to thank Batelco how they responded back to the market demand, to our students at home, and how they pump the bandwidth to accommodate all of that free of charge. This is really something amazing, and this is how Batelco contributed during this period. And they have extended this up to, I think, to November with even a higher speed. I would like to shift to, for the purpose of time, to other areas where I think, as well as very important to cover it in this event. I will come back to you for other questions related to Batelco. I would like to move to Sameera and ask her about remote learning experience. I want to talk about the content generation. I mean, before the pandemic, how you used to conduct teaching and how it changed to a new model now. Are you in a position to give that content ready using those remote teaching, or you've had to create everything from scratch?
Well, that's a very good question, actually, and it takes us to the heart of the learning process, including teaching and learning process online. I mean, it's not unique, but what is so niche about AUBH is that we have adopted the recent even educational theories and like, for example, synchronous remote teaching. What I mean is that what we're doing at this session today is synchronous remote. So we're doing live event, however, it is remote. So at the beginning, we have used that to deliver our classes for our students using Teams capabilities. We have enabled the recording, so our faculty can later on download the recording, and they can editing the video also and make it available for a student within an internal kind of YouTube channel, but it is already dedicated for the university use. So only those who have privilege and access to the course material can see the videos or the recording. This is one part of it. Another part is the asynchronous, which we are using and uploading all the material to Canvas. We're using Canvas as our learning management system. It is very interactive. It is very different. The one challenge that we have faced is how to make the online experience similar, if not better, than the actual in-class experience. So what we have realized is that in online, students become more interactive. So I think this kind of physical barrier has been removed. So they are more interactive. They have more control over their learning environment. They can use the chat, or probably choose to participate in the discussion forum that the teacher would put forward after the classroom. So all of that kind of thing, it just gives us a very solid position in saying that our adaptation for the online teaching or the synchronous and asynchronous remote teaching has been phenomenal, and he has been recognized by international practice, confirming also our practices with our partner CSUN University, California, Northridge in USA. So we're partner with them, and we're confirming their practices as well in our classrooms. I think another challenge after COVID-19, I mean, moving to the remote environment was a unique journey. But again, back to the campus is another unique experience where we are allowing, I think, distinctively our students to choose their learning platform, whether they want to come to campus or they want to continue their learning online. So what we have created at AUBH is that same class or same students who are in the same class, part of the students, they're joining synchronous remote, and the other they are using or they are staying in the classroom. There is no difference. I mean, those who are in campus interacting with those who are online and vice versa. Students are able to bring their devices. I think the educational process has been changed, if not for the coming couple of years or permanently. I think this is.
I would like to ask you, sorry to interrupt. How is the assessment changed during this time? How do you grade the students and all of that aspects? Tell us more about it, please.
I think as a higher educational institution, differently from K-12, we have kind of a liberty of designing our assessments. So our assessment came as a STEM university that teaches chemistry and biology and physics, as well as math and other courses like engineering that has hands-on. So we have kind of a simulation labs for those courses, especially that we are in the first and second year. But again, we have been contracted with online proctoring service. I think since the beginning. I mean, this is our second or third round for online assessment, offering our student modality for choosing the way of being assessed. So some courses, they still need exams. So we don't neglect exams. We can offer it over a ProctorU in their safe home environment, or if they wish to come to campus as well. But again, some courses, like in any other university, it can be also designed by having certain grades for assignments or lab experiences. So this is how we manage it at AUBH very well.
Collaboration between you and the quality assurance authority, because I know that some universities are stuck of creating their own, although there is maybe a framework or a universal way to do that. Is there any collaboration with the authorities on that matter?
Of course. I mean, we've been reporting our practice, which I think exemplary at this stage, with HEC, and we've been exchanging our data, confirming our practice internationally, and not only locally but internationally. I think we've been very successful from the beginning to ensure continuity, and all of this data and information has been already discussed and provided to the accreditation authority presented by HEC. But again, yeah, I mean, being as
yeah, sorry, carry on.
I mean, being in such unique platform is another way of confirming the communication with the society, those who are not aware and they want to come forward and approach and probably create connections for collaboration. I mean, this is another way. So thank you so much.
Great job, Sameera. Just final question for you before I move on. The enrollment experience. Did you change anything for this semester?
Yes, we've changed. I mean, we've made life easier for people, and this is our main mission, to make everybody comfortable, very friendly environment at AUBH, very considerate environment. Some university chooses to change their processes. I think we've been lucky, and we've been very working hard, everybody at AUBH, to maintain the process, however, digitally. Like, our students can interview, we are interviewing our students using Teams virtually. We have facilitated the availability of every tool to our new applicants. Exams, acceptance exams, placement exams, payments, all of that is online. We have a complete online process for those who want to choose online.
Thank you so much, Sameera. By the way, Khalid already completed 2 pages of the questions. And as we said, the strategy is not to allow him to ask any of those. I will have to maybe stop my questions. We have some questions from the audience. Mohammed, do you want to say anything before I move to the questions?
No, please.
All right, there are some questions related to well, maybe a regulator, a TRA, but it's a question to Batelco and why Telegram is not allowed over Batelco network. Is there anything you want to say on that, Saurabh, please?
No, I will just request the person who sent in that question to get in touch with me. I'll put them in touch with my customer care team. We are not talking Telegram. I'm on Batelco network, and Telegram works perfectly fine.
Oh, perfect.
So please.
This is a good news. We do have a way forward to enable the Telegram on our mobile from Batelco. Thank you. Very quick answer. And second question, maybe to all, how are we dealing with data encryption? We have more people working remotely, and that's another risk. Maybe we have accepted at the beginning that we don't do encryption, but we cannot move on and carry on allowing or accepting this risk. So Start with Mohammed. Do you use like any encryption on the laptops?
So yeah, the laptops are, each of our laptops is secured with different, there's an endpoint security, there's encryption on the devices. Actually, the Lenovo laptops have hardware support for encryption as well, which doesn't create any kind of bottleneck or speed issue for encrypting files.
And do you use any DLP solution as well? No. Okay. What about Batelco and American University? Is that a concern for you? Do you use that kind of technologies?
Yes, we do. We do. So we have again very similar to how Mohammed explained it. We have protection for our end devices and of course encryption capabilities. Currently, of course, we are working remotely, so pretty much all our employees are connecting in through our network using only VPN capabilities, which effectively is providing another layer of security and encryption. And again, I think the question is specifically referring to the PDPL. And so to protect the customer data that we have within our infrastructure, we are effectively applying various layers of security, including encryption, including, of course, restriction on physical access to where the data is stored, and also multiple online controls, including multi-factor authentication in relevant cases.
Perfect. Sameera, anything you want to add to that?
I think it's similar. I mean, encryption is an integral part of every antivirus application nowadays. So it is already there if you are subscribed to an antivirus. Plus, I think the question here about security is not only using the right tool, but making the self-awareness, I mean, or the end user awareness. It is a very important process. It sounds like a normal thing. You should say like end user awareness, but it really plays a very critical role in protecting personal data, work-related data. The tool is there, but if they want to enable it or disable it as well, it's another option.
Thank you so much. More general question about post-COVID. Hopefully, very soon we'll talk about post-COVID. I wish, but any things that you will never go back to that we used to do in the past, Mohammed?
So I think that this remote working and the flexibility for the working environment is going to continue. I think it worked out well in terms of the COVID era. We learned that people are able to work remotely and collaborate remotely. I think that's going to continue for going forward. I don't think it's going to be. Also, I think workspaces are going to be modified a little bit because there should be more interactions, less isolated offices. I think that's probably, this is what I envisage going to be the future, but this is something that definitely, I think that's going to change the way we work. I mean, like we've seen a lot of international companies adopt these practices in the past, but they didn't know how to apply within our region. But I think that we've seen that it doesn't work well as actually.
It's a great opportunity to change mindset and build a new culture. I remember in 2006 or 7, my manager at that time, Mr. Anton Hoffman, started offering the IT team 2 days a month to work from home. And definitely HR were not happy with this approach, but he enforced it at that time, and it was really a privilege to work from home. But the culture overall were not accommodating. So sometimes you have a nice idea, good approach to solve a challenge, but the culture is not helping you. We at this moment of our time in life, it's a great time to change beliefs and challenges that we face with a very innovative way. I have one more question. It is as well general, so I will defer that if I think we extended our time already. So let's go to our friend Khalid.
Yes,
and maybe you can pick and choose one or maximum 2. How many questions you have? 10?
I have a big list. You can go back. No, I just focus on one.
Can you make sure that the mic is capturing your?
Yeah, is everybody?
So carry on.
Okay. The main question is for Mumtalakat, Batelco, and AUBH, is I was interested to know what applications you have been reviewing post-pandemic or during the pandemic to use, and then you test it, and then you use those applications, whether they are SaaS or totally new. You used during the pandemic. Now you're using, new to your process. And what do you visualize a perfect solution? A perfect solution. You still have problems. I am sure you have those softwares. You still have challenges. You still have a different solution, or your team visualizes the process differently. They want to do the work not like before, better, but in combination with the new tools of like CRM, project management, follow-up, documents processing, all of those. So I'm sure you are looking for a perfect solution that suits your business.
So it's basically your wish list. If you were to invent anything you want, what is it that you want?
Actually, it's interesting because we're going through a digital transformation project right now within Mumtalakat, and we've identified a few solutions we're looking at.
Can you raise your voice? I'm not sure.
Sorry. Yeah. So we're going through a digital transformation process internally in Mumtalakat to convert, as I said earlier, more towards SaaS applications, and to revisit how we do reporting and how we provide information to our executive team. And I don't want to get necessarily into specifics of the applications that we're looking at right now until they're public, but we're just basically changing our entire architecture. So basically, how the applications talk to each other, the integration layers and the API layers, and how that's all being redone actually now. And hopefully going forward, it will give us a lot of flexibility in how we provide information to the management. The only smaller tools that we do use and we have been extensively using since the pandemic is like Microsoft Teams and SharePoint Online. This is something I talk about, but also DocuSign. I think it was mentioned earlier. DocuSign is basically all of approvals and signatures are now done completely digitally, and it's something that we use internally quite extensively.
Okay, thank you. Anything you would like to add from your end, Sameera or Saurabh?
I think from my point, I would like to add that our next projects, we would love to share experience. We would love to collaborate with everyone who's interested. I think now the trend in education is towards interactive videos, creating interactive learning videos, and this is our next phase. As well as I think it's Power BI is another application that we're evaluating to create managerial dashboard reported based on live data, combining all of the information that comes of all this sort of systems and platforms implemented, and put it in a well comprehensive dashboard for management to make informed decisions based on live data.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the telco side you would like to add?
Right. So we have been using a lot of these capabilities, CRM tools, BPM tools, ERP tools. Of course, during the pandemic, there was a special increase in the usage of Teams and OneDrive and SharePoint Online and these capabilities. I think two areas that specifically we are trying to focus on now, and I think we'll continue to do. One is while we have a lot of capabilities for various processes, whenever there is a process handovers, there are breaks, and that creates manual activities. So we are trying to automate those using robotic process automation capabilities and tools. So we are doing a lot of internal automation, which kind of again takes away the need for manual interventions. And we are trying to do something similar on the customer touchpoint as well. So when you go and use our app or our e-shop, then today you will find that sometimes the experience is not fully end-to-end automated, and it creates some gaps. Where you as a customer faces a gap, or sometimes you see that the flow is having a gap. So we are trying to effectively again apply the same, that wherever there are disjoints, we are trying to connect them through automation to have a seamless experience, both internally and externally. On the topic of Power BI, by the way, I would just mention, Sameera, we are a big user of Power BI. We are extremely happy with that. And if you would like to do some, we would be happy to share our experience with you separately in your assessment if you wish to.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So we actually also use Power BI internally for some of our for some of our management reports. So that's something we can share with you as well as an experience.
Great. A question for you, Mohammed, just before we conclude. How Mumtalakat is playing the role of maybe helping their portfolio companies? Do you extend it with the partnership with technology provider or a soft skills or?
So there are a few things. I mean, cloud adoption has been like something important to me personally and to Mumtalakat and the government as a whole. And as part of that initiative, we conduct every 6 months or so a roundtable discussion with some of our heads of departments, heads of IT from different companies, to discuss like security or to discuss cloud adoption, to discuss SaaS applications, and to have that kind of discussion between us. And there are some support we have from our vendors, our preferred vendors, and we'd be happy to make those introductions. But in general, every company will take its own decision, and will have their own process in terms of procuring the services they need and assessing the services. It's more of a collaboration in terms of experience and yeah.
Thank you, Mohammed. Just want to add from my end that those who are not ready have lost an opportunity to reflect. It is a golden period for those who work in technology. We have people to hear us, people to believe what we have said is right. You have to take the advantage now to advance and as well to recap. Some of us are lacking the use of advanced technology. It is time to capitalize and think about how to inject technology into the business model. Like Batelco is well positioned to use technology in their business model. Some other industries are not as easy as possible. They need to think about how to become an integral part of the business. There are many success stories in all industries. And believe me or not, that this is something that we can, you either do it now or you will be out of market maybe in very short time. So, Khalid, if you'd like to add, if you'd like to add anything in this part.
I'll make it short. It's a very challenging time for everybody. Well, humanity is seeing something that never happened before. And it seems technology has came to save the day in some areas, not everywhere. But it's time for you guys, societies are depending on the people who are working in the IT to, streamline the business and grow the business and keep the performance running. That's the importance of people who are working in the IT today. But we are in a challenging time. We're going to lose a lot of people around us who are going to lose their jobs. Maybe you're being part of this as well. But it's a forceful act. It's not everybody wants to have this. I'm happy that Batelco is still making money, others are not making. So I don't know how long you can sustain this. But we have to build a good performance in the back so we can increase the capability of Bahrain to export its experience, because bilateral business within our own region or within our own country will not produce enough GDP for us to grow. So this is what I wish the IT or the digital world or digital economy brings up, that Bahrain can export its technology, export its knowledge to other countries and make profit out of this. So I think you are a new stream of income. Batelco, I wish you also go cross-border. Bahrain is not enough for you. You should jump to cross-border and start selling. If you have 1,200 employees or 3,000, you can make them 6,000. So if you could, go ahead and do it. And I'm happy to have been today and hear all of you talking about your experiences. And I wish the pandemic doesn't, become harsher in the coming days.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Anyone who has any question that we didn't answer or would like to go live and ask this question video, raise your hand and I will give maybe 15 seconds. If anyone is interested, we can take him live. While you are waiting, anything else you would like to say for about Sameera from your end before we conclude this event?
I would like to.
Sorry.
Sorry. Go on, Sameera, please.
Sameera, sorry, I heard Sameera. So thank you so much for having me in this conference. It's been a very great opportunity and a great platform to share the experience. Thank you so much. That's all.
Our pleasure to have you, and hopefully we'll have more of this. We do have actually in the society a separate group for education, and it's led by Dr. Aisha Bushagar. She is with us today as well, and I will make sure that we activate some initiative related to education very soon. So looking forward for your contributions, Sameera. Yeah, please. So.
Just, I would like to again thank thank you all first for having the opportunity of being here and sharing this platform and sharing our experience, and also of course would like to thank all the participants who have taken the time out of their busy schedules and come join this session. So really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Mohammed, as well. Would you like to say anything?
I just say thank you very much for having us. Thank you for letting us share our experience. Hopefully people will benefit from it, and we're always here.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to see you again in our future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. مع السلامة.